Welcome back. More Bitcoin buzz. Big names from Jack Dorsey to Snoop Dogg descending on New York City this week for the Consensus Conference to tout the benefits of cryptocurrency and blockchain. It's called Blockchain Week. Concerns about security and safety of digital currencies, of course, still loom large over the sector. The Securities and Exchange Commission launching a fake website about initial coin offerings to warn investors about the risk. Joining me right now is Pantera Capital founder and CEO Dan Morehead. And Dan, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. You've been among the first believers in blockchain and Bitcoin. Your digital asset fund outperformed Bitcoin in April. Tell us about the fund.
So the fund is buying not just Bitcoin, but all the different liquid currencies. There's about 60, and it goes long and occasionally short based on their value. And can outperform.
How's it going?
So since December 1st, Bitcoin's down and the fund's up 45%.
Is that because some of the other components of the index, if you will, are up?
Yeah, that's the whole
just your
point.
hedging
lots
strategy?
Of different currencies. It's not just Bitcoin. And if you buy them when they're relatively cheap, sell them when they're relatively rich, you can make money even in a bear market.
So outside of Bitcoin, because that's the one everybody's talking about, which companies should we be looking at, or currencies should people take a look at closer?
Yeah, I think the main point should be you should have a huge portfolio. It's like the IPO boom in the 90s. There's a lot of very interesting things. You should own some of the cryptocurrencies themselves, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Zcash. Investing in a big basket of ICOs is probably smart, and then also venture companies that are using the blockchain to help clients do something better, faster, cheaper.
But no, go ahead. I think that I was probably going to bring up what you were going to bring up. It's a front page story in the Wall Street Journal that they did this vast research project looking at digital coin offerings. They looked at 1,450 digital coin offerings and found 271 that seemed to suggest they're fraudulent. They found rampant plagiarism of the offering documents, identity theft, promises of improbable returns, fake executive teams, and of those that were where there were problems, there's $1 billion invested in those 271 coin offerings. So the danger is that there's manipulation, there's fraud, and people who are pouring money into them don't know the difference.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, that any boom in the finance world brings frauds, and that happens in every type of industry. The SEC's cracked down on quite a few of them already. I think it's great that they're engaged. And the point to make is, a lot of people say the ICO thing is like the IPO thing in the 90s. The huge difference is they're super technically complicated. Because back in the day, like pet food on the internet, I kind of understood what that was, and books on the internet, check, figured that out. But here, these things are very technically complicated. So unless you have a very strong technical background and you have a lot of time you want to devote to this, it's safer just to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and keep it to the big blockchain.
This is an important point that you make, but people are wanting to find out. You're in New York this week because of this blockchain conference.
Yeah.
Same conference last year was 3,000 people, and this year?
It's 9,000 people this year. And if you dial it back, in 2013, there was like 200 people in a threadbare hotel near the Garden.
Yeah.
And now it's 9,000 people.
Dan, thank you. Dan Morehead.